Picture a hall of tiny clocks, each one wound, each pinned hard to its neighbors and to its own hub, so stiff that to move any single hand you fight a spring. Strike this room and every note rings high, rigid, gapped, expensive to move. Almost every motion costs energy, almost. Turn every hand of every clock by the same angle, all together, and not one spring stretches. That one motion is free, the loophole the locking cannot close. Hold on to it. It is about to become light. One thing before we begin. Advaita Chakra Theory is a speculative, exploratory framework, not established, peer-reviewed physics. Much of what follows is honest conjecture that still needs validation. Watch it in that spirit as ideas to test, argue with, and refute. Here's the puzzle. The lock substrate from Chapter 1 is, by design, gapped, pin everything down, and every wobble is stiff and massive. But the world needs a massless thing light costs no energy to have. A gapped system with a gapless mode sounds like a contradiction. The way out is a symmetry the locking simply cannot see, and a direction no choice of parameters can ever remove. First, the law. On the lattice, the energy is the most general, local, non-dual thing you can write, and only three kinds of terms survive. A kinetic cost to spinning, a stiffness, J, that makes neighbors want to line up, and a locking, K, that pins each channel to its shaft. That is the whole rulebook, and the physical vacuum is the corner where locking dominates. K much greater than JH equals sigma a half L letter 1 D 40 I dash 1 L minus sigma I D J cos X letter 1 D 62 minus X letter 2 C 7 C minus sigma K cos X letter 1 D 62 minus phi letter 1 D 62. Asserted color code kinetic slash J slash K, then vacuum KJ. Now expand around that locked state, keeping small wobbles. The cosines flatten to springs and everything collapses into one object. The master dynamical matrix D of K equals I inverse times M plus 2 epsilon Kj. Its eigenvalues are the squared frequencies of every mode. This one matrix is the entire engine of the book, light, the metric, the masses of matter, the guiding field of measurement. Each is D of K rid in a different basis. And notice the split. The locking M sets the gaps at K equals 0. The stiffness supplies all the K dependence. Gaps in the cone come from different pieces. dk equals I dash 1 M plus 2 epsilon Kj, omega 2 equals IgG dk, epsilon K equals 1 minus cos Ka, derived. Annotate M right arrow gaps and 2 epsilon Kj right arrow K dependence the cone. Now the case. Locking pins every channel, so you'd expect M to gap everything. Ask the sharper question, is there any direction the locking cannot feel? There is. Every locking term depends only on a difference. Shift every channel of a site by the same angle, and every difference is unchanged. The energy does not move. That uniform direction, the all-ones vector V0, is an exact null vector of MMV0 equals 0 for any couplings whatsoever. So the locked world carries exactly one gapless mode plus C minus 1 gapped ones. One broken generator, one massless mode. Goldstone's theorem, read straight off a matrix. Draw the spectrum and it splits cleanly. The gap branches, C minus 1 of them, sit high. These become the massive matter fields and, integrated out, they induce gravity. The one branch that stays down is the Goldstone. Along V0 the mass vanishes and only stiffness survives, so it disperses linearly. A first light cone, with a slope C squared equals a naught squared J over I, set by stiffness and inertia alone, and completely independent of how hard you locked. If you've met phonons, this is exactly the acoustic branch that goes to 0, riding beneath the optical branches. Take the smallest real case 2 channels locked to a shaft. The locking matrix has the all-ones vector at eigenvalue 0, the free direction, and the opposite combination pinned at twice K. Put in the numbers from the trustworthy engine paper. The gapped branch rings at 1.5 plus the lattice kernel, the Goldstone at just the kernel, starting from 0. Deep in the locked regime, the stiff mode rings at 14 times the Goldstone slope, rigid and expensive, exactly as the Hall of Clocks foretold, while the Goldstone costs nothing at 0. Integrate the full nonlinear Hamiltonian on a computer, and both branches return to better than 1%. The quadratic engine is the right one. M equals K omega gap 2 equals 1.5 plus 2.1 minus cos Ka, omega G2 equals 2.1 minus cos Ka. Plot both. So here's the verdict. One Hamiltonian, one matrix, D of K, one protected direction, V0, that no locking can close, and living in it, one guaranteed massless mode, the seed of light, the Coulomb field, the matter wave. Everything the rest of the book does is this one note, seen in a mirror. Next chapter, we give that mode its speed and derive the light cone, the first genuinely derived result of the theory. A word of acknowledgement. This work was inspired in part by the non-dual teachings of Sri Narayana Guru, that the creator, the creation, and the substance of creation are fundamentally one. Symbols from the Hindu tradition, the Sudarshan chakra and the Shivalinga, suggested the analogies behind the chakra model. They are acknowledged as philosophical and symbolic inspiration. The physics stands on its own. Thank you for watching. If this made you think, the book and the next chapter are linked below. Until then, one substance and how far it reaches.